Hey couples, it's Thursday, and that means it's time for Tune-Up Thursday. And these are videos that we put out to help you to take care of your marriage. I encourage you to use that hashtag, take care of your marriage, because it's important that we are intentional about taking care of our marriages. Because if we neglect them, if we put them on the back burner, then there's quick distance that can be created between husbands and wives, and so we don't want to do that. Today we're talking about communication. I talk about communication a lot. I've done several videos about communication, and I'll keep talking about communication, because if you don't communicate well in your marriage, then you're going to have a marriage that isn't doing very well. So today we're going to talk about the don'ts, things that I don't want you, that I don't need to do, that we don't need to do when we're having conversations with our spouses, particularly when we're having some difficult conversations or we're in some conflict. Here's the first one. Don't spend your time planning on what you're going to say or waiting for your turn. You're ready to go because you're going to fire back. Don't do that, because if you're planning on what you're going to say next, chances are you're not completely hearing everything that your spouse is saying. Here's the next one. Don't try to fix things or offer unsolicited advice. Guys, we can be the ones that are most guilty of this, because we try to be fixers. You know, we hear our spouse say something, and we're like, oh, I got the answer. I know how to fix this. I know what you're. No, our spouses don't want to hear that. And guess what? When they want you to fix it, or when they want some advice, they'll ask you for it. Here's another one. Don't split your focus between your spouse and maybe your cell phone or the TV or something else. When you do that, you're communicating to your spouse that what you're saying really isn't that important to me. So when you say, well, I can multitask. Well, multitasking works in a lot of areas, but when you're talking about communicating with your spouse, don't do it. Don't do it. Give your total focus to your spouse, eye to eye, knee to knee, and listen to what they're saying. Don't try to anticipate or finish what your spouse is saying. Here's one how we do. I know what you're going to say. Yep, I know. I've heard it. And here's what we're saying. It's not valid. What you're saying is not valid, or even worse, I don't want to hear it anymore. You may not want to hear it anymore, but sometimes our spouse needs to say it again, because here's the thing. If they're still talking about it, that means they're still feeling it. And so there's still some things that we need to work on as a couple. So don't try to finish it. Don't try to anticipate what they're saying. Don't try to assume. Don't try to guess. Just listen and get the facts, get their feelings. Don't take what the other person is saying so personally that you become defensive and you're unable to hear anything more that they have to say. You see, when we get defensive, then the part of our brain that helps us to think reasonably and to put some good thoughts and wisdom together, that shuts down, and all the blood rushes to our brain, to the part of our brain that's in charge of the fight or the flight mode. So don't take it too personally. Yes, are you going to probably hear some tough things? Oh yeah, I'm sure you are. Are there going to be some things that maybe, hurt your feelings? Maybe, but you don't want to get so take it so personally that you don't hear anything else. And that may mean that you just say, okay, wait a minute, I just need to stop for a second, because I'm feeling a lot of stuff right here. And I know that while I'm feeling this, I'm not going to be listening to you the way that I should listen to you. So that's a great, and this is to the last don't. Don't completely shut down what you're feeling, your reactions. Now, you don't want to overreact, but here's the thing. You might hear something that does hurt. You might hear something that does make you upset. You might hear something that, maybe kind of comes out of the blue for you. And so here's the thing. You need to acknowledge that. You need to be able to tell your spouse, I hear you. I hear what you said. And I acknowledge that, that makes you sad or that makes you upset. But I also just want to tell you that when I hear that, here's what I felt. And maybe that's not what you meant, or that's not what you intended, but I felt this. Or, you said that you feel that way sometimes in our marriage, and I feel the exact same way. I totally identify with that, because that's what I feel. So you don't want to act like a robot and act like that, you don't have feelings. Or here's what's worse is, you don't respond, and you just put it all inside until finally it just builds and builds, and then boom, then you blow up all over your spouse. You don't want to do that either. So don't shut down your feelings or your reactions completely. Now again, you don't want to overreact and you don't want to attack, but it's okay as a spouse to tell your spouse how you're feeling. Okay? So those are tips on things that you don't want to do. And I promise you, if you'll start working on some of these, then your communication will get better. Because remember, if you don't communicate well in marriage, then your marriage is not, you're not going to have a marriage that's really doing well. All right, do me a favor. As always, like this video, share this video, and say it with me, take care of your marriage.